Hornet, old turkey master here. I've got something a little different today. The rifle I'm holding is a Savage Model 25 light varminter, and I ordered this gun in 22 Hornet. My favorite little cap cartridge, and I decided that I would take this rifle and rechamber it to 22 K Hornet. And K Hornet, you take a regular Hornet case and you put the Hornet in here and fire it, and it blows the shoulder out. And you can get about another grain or a little more powder in it, which is a big deal in a tiny case like this. So once you fire form it, you size it, and usually I just neck size and reload it. And I've been loading little gun, H110, 4227, seeing which powder will do the best in this rifle. Well, a problem I had, this thing comes with a 22 Hornet magazine, naturally, because it's a 22 Hornet chamber, and it feeds, I'm going to put it on safety here, the 22 Hornet mag feeds the Hornet slick as a button. The problem I was having was when I took my K Hornet and put it in that 22 Hornet mag, it would not feed. It would not feed. It might feed the top round, usually it wouldn't even do that. So, to solve that problem, I got another magazine in 17 Hornet. This rifle comes chambered for several calibers, and two of them are 22 Hornet and 17 Hornet. And the 17 Hornet case is nearly identical to the K Hornet. And I put 17 mag in it. It did much better, but I still have an occasional hang-ups, failure to chamber. When I'd push the bolt in, it would catch on a sharp edge in there. And this receiver and all looks to me to be an investment casting, and they cast the feed ramp right in when they made the receiver. So I took this thing out of stock and took my little Dremel tool, and I can't get it on camera, but I took and beveled that feed ramp, and polished it. I didn't take out a lot of metal, just enough to get the sharpness off of it. So that solved my problem. Now, with the 17 mag, it feeds them licking butt. So if you've got one of these 25s that you've converted to K Hornet and you're having breathing issues, go with a 17 Hornet magazine, and you may or may not, your rifle, you may not have to polish the feed ramp, but it certainly does help. So I really like the K Hornet. You can get 3,000 feet a second out of it with a 40 grain bullet, with just about any powder. I've been shooting H110, 4227, little gun. There's one more. That CFE Blackout, I've not tried it yet. A lot of people says it does real good. And generally I'll shoot a 40 grain. I have some 35 grain bullets loaded up. And the other problem you got being that you've got to use a magazine, because that port is so small, I cannot single load them. I was going to try to seat the bullets out and single load it, and it just don't work. So you got to use a mag, and so you have to seat your bullets to where they'll fit in the magazine. And I don't know if you can see how deep that one's seated. Pretty deep, and that's about as far as it'll go, because these with the tips stick out there a little bit. I think that's a Hornet VMAX bullet there. So you have to see them where they'll go in the magazine. And what I've been doing too is after I get them loaded, I've got a little Lee crimp die, factory crimp die for a 22 Hornet. It'll work with a K Hornet. And I just put a very light crimp on that. Not much at all. I just barely squeeze it in a little bit. And I like to shoot Hornet's got this old-fashioned hollow point, and on the box it says 22B. I guess they made this bullet for the 22B. A lot of the old lever guns are offered in a B. So they shoot really good in my Ruger #1. And they've got a chandler where you can crimp them, because they were made for lever action. So I give them a little light crimp in that chamber, and they feed through the mag too real well, since I polished it. Now these would not feed even with the 17 Hornet mag before I opened it up and polished it. That hollow point tip would catch, and sometimes it would push the bullet back in. That's another reason I crimped them, to keep that bullet in place. So, but now they feed real good, and it's no big deal to polish that feed ramp. Once you get it out of stock, anybody can do it. But yeah, I like my little K Hornet rifle. All I have to do now is do a bunch of loading and shooting. And you can see you can't get your finger in there to single load. So, and another benefit of this gun, you can cycle it with safety on. It means you can unload it or whatever with safety on. I really like that part of it. You cannot be too safe with a firearm. So that's all I've got today. This is a rainy, smoky mountain day. That big storm coming through, and last time I looked, we had 3 inches in the rain gauge. Turkey master out.